We tied all our buying to China. If this thing goes south, or what are we going to do to our supply chain? So right now, the buying community is eagerly exploring around the world alternative sources of supply. So everything they're buying from China today, they're saying, who else has it? Is it Latin America, Vietnam, India? Oh, Africa, really? Tell me more. So this is an opportunity for Africa to make sure they get, when I say Africa, I mean me, the following, those that are on the continent, get your act, in terms of your information, your house, organize yourself. The business community needs to organize. So associations, communities, business communities need to get stronger. They need to increase. It's not enough right now because the opportunities that are coming, that are presenting themselves, can only be captured by groups, right? The buying, because I worked in the buying community before, the global buying landscape deals with volume. Okay, so even there are times when you have tier one, tier two manufacturers that you have to work with. So, for example, when you're buying plastic bags, like when you go to a shopping center, the plastic bag, those plastic bags cannot be manufactured by one person. There's no one supplier in the world that can produce the number that is consumed. So usually in the buying community, the demands, the sourcing is divided among various suppliers. So what I mean is, if you're a manufacturer of, say, plastic bag on the continent, you showing up to my meeting or my community or to my event and say, hey, I want to supply you plastic bags. To be honest with you, you may not even have the capacity. But if the Association of Plastic Bag Manufacturers, 100, I'm just, this is hypothetical. This is what I want to see. 100 manufacturers of whether PPE or plastic bag or whatever it is came together on the continent as a force. And they say we have this capacity to manufacture XYZ in a year, working as one. Then the global market will take you seriously. I say, wow, you mean you have that capacity on the continent? That's when the global market will pay close attention. So that's the trick. Is that coming, because a lot of people come to one on one. Oh, I can manufacture this. Oh, I can great. But how many can you manufacture a month? And they start saying, oh, 100. I'm like, the buyers that I know, they're not ready to deal. That number, they will not even deal. They won't deal. So organizing the market, working together, in a community is so important to be able to leverage the supply chain transition that is happening because China has the volume, China has the capacity. So if people are trying to reroute their buying to Africa, they're not going to go back to start picking pieces like one here, two here. No, you have to do the work for them. Like the buying community, they're not in the business of organizing markets. They're not. So that's something that, be open and start engaging as well. I see more people joining in. Okay, let me quickly run through what's on my mind. So supply chain disruption is one, and Africa presents that opportunity with the population growth, right? So by 2050, it's projected to have doubled. So 1.1 billion people today will become 2.2. That's a lot of babies. And I tell people, if you're in the baby industry, you need to start positioning for the continent because a lot more people will be born on the continent than anywhere else that I've seen with the data. So yes, so that's something to watch out for. The youth workforce is another thing that is going to present itself. It's the youngest population, and with the next 30 years, there's going to be a lot more young people added to the continent. And in fact, some people have said that the reason COVID-19 hasn't really battled the continent the way it has in the rest of the world is because of the resiliency in the youth population, that there are more younger people on the continent than anywhere else, which they are able to fight, that. So that's something people are saying as well. Yes, I see you from London. Thank you for joining. So I'm talking today about 5 ways that Africa will reshape the global landscape. So I've talked about supply chain disruptions, where the global buying community, they're currently looking for alternative sources of supply. And if you're in that community, feel free to drop a comment and say yes. If you're in that buying community, and I know they're trying to realign right now, but the question is, what does Africa? That's been the question. That's been the question when I talk to global buyers. They're like, what does Africa want to sell? What do they have? And what do they have in capacity? Not just one piece here, one piece there. What have they organized themselves to pull together that they can actually show up to the world fully prepared on? That's really the question that the global buying community, if they want to deal, the reality is the market organized? How organized is that market? Technology adoption is something we also mentioned. So when you think about Kenya, you may not read it in the Western news, but to be honest, Kenya is leading the world when it comes to adoption of digital payments, right? M-Pesa and all of that. And one thing I try to say is don't wait for the media to tell you the courageous stories of Africa. No, they're still, a couple of years behind. They're still um, they're still drinking from the old fountain of Africa is poor, Africa is this, oh, war, famine, this. Let them keep drinking while we all keep talking about something new, which is business, transaction, trade, investment, opportunities. We can talk about that. I think maybe 5 years from now, they'll wake up and say, oh, how did we miss that? Oh, China. How did we miss China? We couldn't have predicted China. Oh, nobody could have predicted anything. And it's the same way. And in some way, it's a benefit. It's a benefit. So it can allow people like us, the small fishes, to position ourselves. Because if everybody's making noise right now, guess what? The big ones will be like, they'll just take all the opportunities. So use the next 5 years, while the media is not paying attention, use the next 5 years to position yourself and your business and your country. They'll catch up eventually, right? So technology adoption, the continent is not going to have the same challenges that the rest of the world has in saying, oh, 5G. Africa will say, bring me, stuff like that. So that's something, because the landscape, there are many places that could be the first infrastructural foundation that will be built and all of that. So the continent is positioned to leapfrog when it comes to innovation adoption and technology adoption as well. When you think about drone, this is not here in the US, in the West, people come up with solutions and then they go, oh, what's the business case? No, the business case already exists in Africa. When you need to deliver, medications to rural places on the continent, they're already using drones in Rwanda and other places as well. So this is not, can we use it? No, it's already mainstream. It's already being adopted. It's already growing. So that's one of the amazing things that we believe we're going to see more of. And those in the technology space, when you think about AI, blockchain, I have a background in technology as well. You need to start looking at digital adoption on the continent. It's going to probably grow faster in Africa than anywhere else. That's what I see. Manufacturing is another thing that is happening. Labor cost in China is going up. Saturation is happening. So those who want to expand, they're actually expanding to the continent, and there are a lot of stories. There was a book that I was reading where real stories of people saying, hey, well, what is China currently shipping to Nigeria in volume, and it's heavy? If I can figure that out, then I'll start manufacturing it in Nigeria. So you now find even those manufacturing on the continent, they're actually competing with ships that are on the sea. It might take a couple of months for the ship to arrive. Before it arrives, we've already owned the market. We've already produced sold multiple times before the ship you put on the sea, before it arrives, you've already sold 2, 3, 4, 5 times in the local market because the demand is high. So that's a strategy people need to start thinking about. Is to say, if it takes 1 month, 2 months, 3 months for your ship to arrive, and there's demand in that country for your products, why don't you build a manufacturing strategy long term? If you're in the baby industry, and if you want to ship this volume, because these are things you can't just put in a plane and it arrives tomorrow, right? If you're going to go by ship and it takes you so many times to ship, look at the cost of actually establishing local manufacturing in that same market. Nigeria, for example, has 200 million people. Whatever you're trying to sell to Nigeria, Do the calculation. If you actually open your manufacturing site in Nigeria, you're going to be able to produce sell faster than if you were shipping it from anywhere else. I'm just saying anyway. So something to watch out for. Agriculture is another thing we talked about. We've done some surveys and assessments of our following, and agriculture keeps coming up big time. No wonder, in terms, I'm not surprised because 60% of the arable land is in Africa. But what I would say is instead of just talking about agriculture, please let's talk about agriculture value chain. It's not enough to grow coffee or cocoa or cashew. What value addition are you going to have to own that market? So for me, that's the big deal. It's not just that I can farm and I can grow something and sell it to somebody else. No, it's the value chain, it's the value addition. It's not just saying I want to be a cocoa farmer, but it's I want to play in the chocolate industry. It's not just saying, oh, shea butter. No, I want to be in the skincare industry, right? So think along that line and not just, oh, agriculture. Let's learn how to farm. That ship has sailed long time ago. What we need to be talking about is agriculture value chain. What are the opportunities in that space? Bringing access to market, right? How do you bring products to the market from farm to the shelf? That's what we're talking about. And those are the things we bring when it comes to our Trade with Africa Business Summit. It's not just talking about things that everybody has been talking about. No, these are real transactions, real opportunities. What are the numbers and who is doing what and how can you engage? So on that note, maybe I've passed my 15 minutes, but that's what I wanted to talk about. And now I'm going to go to say, what questions do you have? What comments, questions do you have? And I'm going to go down again, down the list. Okay. So I see Anson from UK. Thank you for joining. Um, Charles from Kenya. Thank you so much for joining. Miss Victoria from Nigeria. Thank you for joining. Okay, and I see Andrea from. Okay, I think you're. I know you. I know you. Your question is, what would it take to organize apparel manufacturing facilities in Africa? They already are. They already exist. One of the features we had 2018, and we have video content available if people want to procure and see those. We actually featured textile manufacturing from East Africa. Okay, in terms of the East African countries, they are the most advanced when it comes to textile. They are the most sophisticated manufacturing space when you look across the continent. I know people will ask me, Toyin, oh, where are you focused on? What are the opportunities? I'll tell you, depending on what sector you're looking for, depending on what you need, each region of the continent, they are winning or they are leading in different areas. So when it comes to textile manufacturing, East Africa is leading. I see activities as well in southern parts of Africa, but in terms of the most mature, it will be East Africa. And what's going on in East Africa is the fact that there's a heavy Chinese investment in the garment industry. And what we're also seeing is